This is the Build Right podcast, where business and construction come together. Each week, we talk with builders and industry leaders about what it really takes to run a world-class construction company. If you're ready to build better and lead smarter, you're in the right place. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Scott Raffensperger. With me today is Aaron O'Brien. Say hi, Aaron.
Hi, everybody.
So give everybody a quick background on what you do, where you came from.
Grew up in Guilderland, New York, and graduated from Guilderland High School. Went on to college for law and psychology. Ended up going out to Boston right after graduation while I was going to college for a millwright company because they were doing a big job in the Guilderland area. And that was kind of when I was exposed to construction. Continued that for probably 4 to 5 years. Did a lot of traveling between Maine, Massachusetts, Vermont, Michigan, Las Vegas, and I think the last big one was in New York City. And then I figured it was kind of time to take a step away from that. Then got into the mechanical industry in Albany. I've been with Lemme Mechanical for 19 years now. Pretty much brings you where I am today.
It's been 19 years?
Yep.
Oh, my gosh. Time flies.
Yeah, it does.
So you went to college for law, you said?
Law and psychology, yep.
What did you want to do originally?
I wasn't really sure, but those things both kind of appealed to me. And, you know, I think that happens to a lot of kids. They push you towards college. You don't know what you want to do. So I didn't want to just do like gen ed stuff and things like that. Mm-hmm. And going to college I think is beneficial. The degrees I have, not so much.
Yeah. So you're with Lemme now.
Yep.
What's your position there?
Executive.
So you're partner, correct?
Yeah. So Tom Lemme was pretty much the founder. It was a family-owned business with him, and then he did have a partner. But he's been on his own for, I would say, 30 years now.
Mm-hmm. What did you start off as with them?
Project manager.
Okay.
Yep. And that was like the focus on my career because, I mean, you know how project management is. You can start off knowing very little or you can be running the show on some of the big jobs. So It was, you know, steps up the ladder right through the last 19 years.
Was that did you do field work as a PM or were you mostly in the office?
Yeah, I was pretty much solely in the office with Lemme. The only construction field work I did was out in Boston.
Mm-hmm. So now what did that path look like to get to executive?
Hard work, you know.
Yeah.
You form relationships, you network, and you build a team to go after the big work.
Mm-hmm. Now, as far as going in are you considered a partner now, or is that me?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. How did that come about? Like, what did that look like going from a PM to partnership? Did you have to buy in, or how? Was there any process that they had? Well,
it's been, so the whole topic of conversation came up probably about 8 years ago. Obviously, Tom is at the point in his career where he wants to retire. And it's not like a private construction company. There's not a lot of demand. Like if there's a big conglomerate, yes, sometimes they'll get bought out, but it's better off to come up with like a succession plan on, you know, where do you see the business going in however many years. Tom always wants the big work, but it comes to a point where you don't really want to continue down that path if you know if you're going to be stepping away. Mm-hmm. So after Global Foundries, things started kind of calming down in this area. So we had conversations back and forth. It's definitely, it's transitioned several times since we started talking about it. In the beginning, I was going to involve some partners and do some things along those lines. And since then, it's just became, you know, him and I continuing forward. And, you know, now my goal is to do it by myself.
Yeah. How much longer do you think he has?
Depends on the day, really.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, he does not really get involved with the day-to-day operations by any means. From a financial backing standpoint, he's solid. He's there, but
He's starting to pull away.
yeah, definitely. Yep.
Yeah. Why you? Were there other people involved and you stuck out because of your work ethic, or what caused him to pick you as somebody to move into that role?
I think it was like a joint thing in the beginning. We kind of picked each other as, hey, this is something that could actually work, a way for me to, continue and a way for him to back out. I think it was just, the open relationship where we could talk about things and see things going different ways.
When you first started working there, was that something that you had in mind as a goal eventually, or?
I wouldn't say for the first, 5 or 6 years, anything like that. But once it developed, that's when, that's the direction we just maintained it.
Yeah. Now, what do you guys do mostly?
Commercial, boilers, big pipe systems, hydronics, anything like with plumbing or HVAC is kind of like what goes along with the territory. Mm-hmm. But yeah, big boiler plants are what we go after.
Are you just New York State?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Since you got there, what's your top line for the company now?
So after Global Foundries, which I think that was, up into the 80 million range, I think we've been floating between like 30 and 40 for the past 7-8 years.
Okay. Do you see a plan for growth? Are you trying to do different things to get that number up, or is that kind of your sweet spot?
It's kind of like a double-edged sword. I mean, if the work is there, you can go after it, but I've noticed, and I think a lot of people do, as you take on the bigger jobs, you get a lot more chaos and a lot more headaches, and the profit's not necessarily there. If you're doing 80 million, but you're only making 10% and you're pulling your hair out, is it worth it at that point versus doing 40 to 50 million and you're making twice the profits and you don't have as many headaches? Mm-hmm. So I think that sweet spot to me is probably somewhere around 50 million. And this area definitely supports that, because every mechanical contractor is going to get a piece of the pie. So
do you think that's a cap as far as geographically goes? Like, if you wanted to get back to 80 million or get to that 100 million mark, you'd have to go out of state and start expanding at a country scale, basically,
Well, or just pick select parts of the company. I mean, some of my direct competitors have done that. They've branched out to all over. Arizona's a big chip manufacturing part of the country. Carolinas, there's a lot of that stuff down there too. And I would say it's probably somewhere around 80 million. Like if that's a big piece of the pie around here, if you want more than that, you have to start spreading your wings and going down that road.
So what does the company look like today? How are you guys staffed? Where do you get your labor from? Do you have a lot in-house? Do you use union halls?
It's full union. We're signed with Local 7. We have probably 20 to 30 key Lemme employees. Then we go to the union hall, and if there's nobody on the bench, then the union can source other people that are union workers from like Florida or other states like that, where there is an abundance of skilled trade workers.
Okay. How big is your office staff?
7.
7?
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys are handling a pretty decent amount of work for...
Yeah, so 7's like the general office administration, and some of these bigger jobs pop up. You can do a site office or a site job trailer, and have an admin and a project manager set up over there.
So as you see fluctuations in the market, you can bring people in pretty easily from those union halls. So that's how you get from 40 to 80 the next year if you need to, and then back down to 40.
Right.
Do you notice a big difference in your net when you do that, or as you grow to that 80 million mark from 40 or 50, because you're bringing on so much more labor? Do things kind of get out of control with that, or does that core 7 handle that?
That core 7 pretty much manages all that, and then you have like little sub teams that are remote on site, things like that.
So as you got more into the business side of things, what was the biggest surprise for you? Like that you didn't expect?
Well, I think one of the bigger things that's come up over the past, call it 4 to 5 years, is the quality of the labor. Mm-hmm. That's been a big surprise because I'm always used to, having, I guess you would call it the old timers. Those people cannot be replaced now. A lot of those people are retiring or, not working anymore. So when that happens, you have people underneath them that are in a foreman or a superintendent role, which is a demanding position on a multi-million-dollar project. They just don't have the same work ethic, and they definitely don't have 30, 40 years of knowledge. So it's up to me or somebody else who has the experience to bring that person up to where they need to be.
Is the workforce getting younger, or is it consistently getting older that you're pulling from the halls?
I'd say getting younger and definitely less experienced. And through talking with, general contractors, glazers, that's going across the board. That's a theme now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are you more involved with the financials?
Everything.
Everything now.
Everything. Yeah. Yep.
Do you track KPIs, key performance indicators, or things that you notice go well on a job that will bump your margins up a point or two?
Well, I definitely know where we need to be very strong, and that's where the key people go. 90% of our pipe that needs to be fabricated happens in-house in the shop. So that shop is the crew that's going to be feeding all the material that's going to the job. So right there that's huge for every project.
So go over the process of a job for me. So you're saying you manufacture it in-house. I'm sure I'm assuming that you're getting stock pipe in and then you're cutting them to size. Like how is this?
Yep.
How does this go?
Yep. All the big pipe comes from Texas. It shows up on trailers. And while we know the overall quantity of what's going to be needed for the jobs, we'll order it up while it's being drafted. Some drafting we do in-house, some we subcontract. And basically that you'll get an ISO, which is a 3D diagram through CAD of what that piece of pipe is going to look like. Then that needs to be verified in the field. And then once somebody checks their box that says, okay, that piece of pipe is ready for fab, then the shop builds it and we stockpile it until we have tractor trailer loads ready to go out the door.
Oh, no kidding. So I'm assuming you have a pretty big shop and warehouse then?
Yeah. Yep. It's the shop and the office is all in one building. Warehousing sometimes needs to get leased out and things like that, depending on the volume.
Yeah. Are there any areas in your project since you came on that you noticed needed to be tightened up, changes that you've made since you've kind of stepped into that partner position?
It's pretty much it's like a revolving wheel where, the field verification is the most critical point of the whole system, because once that piece of pipe goes through fabrication and it's out the door, if something's wrong with it, it's got to go back in. You're basically taking all the money that you saved prefabricating and starting from scratch. Mm-hmm. Cutting a 30-inch weld apart. Well, it might have taken somebody all day to do that, and now you're doing it twice.
Yeah.
So it's just overall efficiency is where you gain, because if you're not doing it right, the next guy's gonna be, and
hiring those key players properly.
Yeah. Yep, and keeping them.
Do you keep most of your foremen or supers that you get from the union hall? What are the positions that filter out most frequent? Are there any ones that you'll just move from job to job, or you guys have a reset period every year where everyone goes back to the hall?
Well, no, there's a key probably 20 to 30 individuals that are grouped together that they don't get laid off. They don't go to the hall. They don't go to other contractors. They're Lemme.
Basically a career with you guys.
Yeah. Yep.
You mentioned efficiency, and I want to touch on some financial controls also. When you took over, or, partnership, I say take over, you know what I mean?
Right.
What was the biggest operational inefficiency that you saw?
Well, no, I think during the transition, we pretty much have a well-oiled tool. You know what I mean? We click like a watch. It's just maintaining the rhythm, not going astray, and just a standard operating procedure, I guess is what you would say. If everybody would follow that all the time, there wouldn't be any issues. But for some reason, these idiosyncrasies just continue to pop up.
Or how do you evaluate the company? Are you using programs to track things, or are you going in the fields and meeting guys? Like how's your company evaluation go to make sure that things are going properly and that oiled machine stays the same?
Yeah, I am on every single job for my own observation purposes.
Oh, you are?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And then, we have the financial programs and everything like that that can analyze pretty much every component that goes on to the job. That's what I was saying before. Like we go after the big pipe because, it's not just plumbing or mechanicals at that. You're bringing the rigging into it and everything else. So I think we pretty much have that dialed in.
Do you ever want to step out of the field 100%, or you like?
Oh yeah, no, I'm definitely hands-on. Definitely hands-on. With the guys in the field, the management, the construction manager, the owner, I'm fully involved. I don't see that going away.
Where's the farthest project you've had in New York? Are you mostly Capital District?
Mohawk Valley Hospital in Utica. That was, call it an hour and a half from Albany.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, but it puts a strain on some of the guys. I mean, if the hours out there are going to be 5 or 6, for a regular 8-hour shift, they're leaving at 4 in the morning, getting back at 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and go to overtime or anything like that. It makes for a real long day.
Are there specific jobs that you target niche-wise?
Absolutely. The bigger the pipe, the better the job, in my opinion.
Yeah. So a big pipe job, not just schools or hospitals, or it just the size of the job is more what you're looking at, not the scope.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean?
Definitely. In the school jobs, there's just, there's so much competition because it doesn't require as much skilled labor. So you can get pretty much, a team that might not be acquainted and put them together, and they're still going to be able to accomplish fan coil units and unit heaters and things like that, and regular pipe.
As far as review goes for these, do you guys close your books a lot of bigger companies do it every week or every month. Are you involved in that process?
Yeah, it's mostly quarterly.
Quarterly?
Yeah. But it's still quarterly, there's an analysis and review, but the tough part about that is you can have a job that's just starting or a job that's finishing up. So that's why the whole year really does need to be analyzed as a whole.
Right. Are you involved in that review process? Can you explain a little bit what that looks like?
Well, I mean, as a review, because it's done in segments building up to the end, we pretty much know what to expect.
When you're in the field, how do you lead them, your guys? And how do you lead guys in the office? And is there a distinction that you have between those two environments? Do you have to go about it differently? Yeah,
I mean, the key, I think, with leading is, the example. Set the example, set the bar. But the dynamic is kind of more of like a pyramid scheme, you know what I mean? Like everything that comes from the office and goes to the field, well, you get it to the information or, anything that you're trying to change on a project. You start it off at the top and then it spreads out from there.
Okay. Do you treat people differently in the field than the office, or?
I don't really have like one-on-one conversations with the people that are actually doing the work in the field a lot. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. To me, it's more of the big picture with the overall project. Mm-hmm. I mean, some of those individuals, they'll want to be on a first name basis and they'll say hi and, we'll have conversations. But typically, whoever the key person on the job is the one that distributes the information from the office.
Mm-hmm. Bringing people in, union halls I'm not familiar with them and how they work, but is there a recruiting process? Like, is there a vetting process for those guys, or do you?
Typically not. I mean, so in Local 7, like we were talking about earlier, you have plumbers, pipe fitters, welders, all that. So you can request somebody who is a welder or a fitter or a plumber. And a lot of times you'll get somebody who is kind of okay in that area, but you don't really, it's not like you can select the exact person that you want.
Mm-hmm. And you have a project management software that you use?
So, I mean, almost all the jobs right now are on Procore.
Yeah.
So that's typical across the industry. There are a couple others that I've entertained, but I think that one works pretty good for us right now.
Yeah, the learning curve is probably too steep to change now.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And do your field guys use that as well?
Not all of them. Like probably from foreman up. So foreman, general foreman, superintendents, QA, QC managers, safety personnel, project managers.
Has that been in the company since you started?
No. That's probably 8 to 10 years.
Okay. Who brought it in? Whose idea was it?
The industry pretty much forced it on you.
Really?
Oh, yeah. They'll put it right in the contract. Like whatever software is required, now they're all using Procore.
Why?
Probably to try to streamline the paperwork. I mean, the general contractors or construction managers now, they'll have 40 or 50 people on their team. And I think that is part of their tool to get everything in front of the people who need to see it.
So do they link up? Like, is yours link with the GCs so that they can, you can send stuff directly over to them?
Yeah, so the GC will set up the job on their end, and then they'll send us an invite, and then that opens it up for whoever's on my team that is going to have access to it, up to different levels. They can control who can see what. If it's about a change of a drawing or a change in the contract, a change in the schedule, it distributes to the people that it pertains to.
And then can you control what they see back?
I probably could, but I don't. I mean, I'm kind of an open book when it comes to that stuff,
Do you do bid work, or is it like a cost plus format?
Almost all plan and spec, bid, government work, yep.
Okay. So there's not much deviation then. This is the price, and there's either change orders or...
You got it.
Bringing guys in, if they're kind of back to bringing laborers in or help in. If someone's not a good fit, how do you handle that?
Usually that information comes from the field to me, and then it's a decision. Like, this person has this issue, and I said, well, what do you want to do? Like, what do you think the answer is? And 90% of the time, if they're bringing it back to the office and discussing it, then there is a big problem. So they get laid off back to the hall.
How does someone get into the pipe fitters union? Like, where's the...
They do like an aptitude test for, I think, around 200 people annually. And then that list lives until they take on the next test. So out of the 200, and don't quote me on the 200, it may be more. I think it's around 200 that take the test. They will keep about 21 apprentices that then start their apprenticeship, and that goes for 5 years.
This is a pretty big industry, but it seems like it's not very well known, right?
So that's a big thing. So we're part of the Mechanical Contractors Association of the Capital District, and that's, joins with the Mechanical Contractors Association of America. The GC, like when you go to job fairs, you see GCs, you'll see Turno, Gilbane, Consigli, LaChase, you'll see all those guys there, trying to recruit kids right out of college. Mechanical contractors have not done that in the past, but it's starting. It's probably been starting for the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm. So there are college courses they can take?
Absolutely. Like Utica College, we do a lot with them. Union College is signed up with the MCACD recently, and there's a few others that we've been communicating with constantly. Hudson Valley.
Hudson Valley's in
Yeah.
it. Very cool. Yeah, it seems like that's kind of the direction a lot of the hiring is going for all the industries. Even on the residential side.
Definitely.
We're seeing that, trying to pull kids out right away and kind of mold them and
Get
how
their
you
attention.
want. Yeah.
Yep.
Because it's hard to find good help. Wicked hard.
And it's getting harder. Generational. It's just, you can see it.
I mean, obviously, you've been with them for a while. Are there other people in that company that have been there for a long time on the field end of things? Or do they bounce around a lot?
It has been pretty stable with, say, like the top 10 people. But there is a lot of turnover. This is in the last, rounded up to 20 years, there's been a lot of guys that were there for 10 or 15. So it's a great company to work for, and people do stick with it. But then again, life changes happen, and people go different ways.
Well, if you're keeping people for a while, your leadership skills are probably pretty good. Is there anything that you would change about the way that you guys interact with your employees?
Not necessarily. Like I said, I mean, I make a point of it to have the conversations and, not always make it strictly business 100% of the times. So, I know what's going on in pretty much everybody's lives to a certain extent with as much as they want to share or talk about. Mm-hmm. It's a smaller company that does big work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say like a family, atmosphere or anything like that. It's definitely business, but it's just a smaller orientation.
Yeah.
And we tackle the big work, and everybody involved seems to like what they're doing and enjoy what they're doing.
Yeah. Since you started, have you noticed a difference in the industry?
Yeah. When, like I was saying before with construction managers, I mean, you used to get a job and you used to be able to start right away, and, whatever pipe was on that drawing was what you were putting in. Now it's just the steps and the layers and the rolls. It takes forever to do everything. It convolutes production. It slows everything down, and it costs the owner or whatever entity is paying for it twice as much as it should.
Give me an example. So like what steps are you having to take now that are prolonging the process of the project?
Most of the larger projects are requiring the full coordination and drafting with other trades where, 20 years ago, the electrical drawing and the mechanical drawing were one in itself. And if they weren't, then the two foremen would meet up in the morning before they started the installation, say, okay, I'm running 2 feet off this column, and I'm going to run 2 feet off of that column, and that's my space. Not anymore. It's got to be signed off and acknowledged, and
everything's got to get kicked back now.
Right. Yeah. It just goes in circles, and by the time it's done through that process, it could have been installed and filled with water.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Are there any changes in products that you guys are using, or have those pretty much stayed the same?
Not really. I mean, hot water, chilled water, steam, glycol. Glycol used to be ethylene, which was more toxic. Now it's polypropylene, which is more environmentally friendly. Refrigeration, that's been a constant change with the EPA. What was it? R410 was the latest and greatest up until, I think, almost a year ago. Now they've changed it twice since then.
Are there any changes in the R values and pipes and installations that they're using, or?
Insulation is all energy code, and ASME, that dictates all the pipe thicknesses depending on the pressure and the temperature, and that's been the same since longer than I can remember.
Are the codes the same? Has anything changed there?
For the most part. If anything, now they're allowing PVC. You'll see PEX on some of the lighter jobs, ProPress, all the quick stuff now that you see starts residentially. They try to push it up into the commercial field, and it sticks to a certain extent. But if you get any like real plant work, you're welding. That's it. You're not doing ProPress, MegaPress, any of that. That's getting welded to this code.
So they'll use you guys use PEX?
There's been a couple jobs where they use it as a value engineering tactic to try to save money, but
do you like it?
Not at all. I mean, the material is a little bit. The material is more expensive typically, and then union labor is resistant to learning those residential systems, I guess you would call it. They're apprehensive.
Yeah. What's interesting is the residential industry is constantly changing. Like
definitely.
The codes, the materials they want you to use, the energy tests that you have to, pass to get your CO, and commercials basically stayed the same.
Yeah, especially on the mechanical and plumbing end. Yep.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Do you do hospital work?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Albany Med, I've probably been working there for 20 years.
Okay.
Consistently almost. They've done a lot of big work, and there's sometimes they can't get to some of the smaller stuff, a pipe leak or a valve, and we'll go over there and take care of it for them.
So you have a service end that you're...
Not really. So that's always been a weak point. Not something I wanted to get involved in, but could happen down the road. It's just, You have to be set up for it. You have to have trucks with all the tools and everything else. Whereas when you're on a commercial job, all the tools, everything's there. Somebody could show up on a bicycle and be able to do the job. Mm-hmm. And if you get us set up for service, you have to have somebody dedicated to manage it. The guys that are versed in pretty much all aspects, like that one guy has to be the plumber, the pipe fitter, the HVAC, do it all. So I stayed away from that.
Do you think that could be a area of growth for you guys in the future?
Potentially, but I think there's other areas that would offer more of a benefit. Clean room work is all over the place here. Huge investment to get started in. But once
Why?
Because of all the tools, specialty tool work. So the tools are the machines in like Global Foundries, SUNY Polytech, Regeneron, places like that. They need ultra pure piping, which is orbital welding. It's just, it's still part of Local 7 around here. It's just a different animal. You have to have, kind of like service, a completely set up, dedicated team to do that type of work.
Give me some examples of the different tools or like process in completing the project for clean work versus regular work. I don't really understand what you mean by that.
So with the standard steam and hydronic systems, they call it dirty pipe. So it's rolled steel. Some of it's seamless, some of it's welded.
What would a steam system be for?
Like steam could either be for heat or for process. So heat to heat the building, process to go to tools or a press,
okay,
something like that. So that's considered dirty piping. And then when you get into the clean room work, you have piping it's all stainless, high quality finish, high quality grade, capped on the ends. When you weld it, you have to purge it with nitrogen to keep anything out of the inside of the pipe. You have to clean it constantly or maintain its cleanliness, I guess you would say. Cap the ends, and the orbital welders, it's not actual welding like you and I think about it. It's a machine that clamps the two pieces of pipe together, and then robot takes it around it, and it's a little tiny bead. You can barely, it's almost like not visible to the eye.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that still done in shop, or do you have to fabricate that on site?
Some of both. You can do that either way. So if you have a clean room shop, it's got to be a totally separate building. Everything it's got to maintain air exchanges, and it's pretty stringent.
So when you say cap it, are you talking like if you fabricate that piece of pipe in shop, you have to clean it and then you seal the ends so it doesn't
Correct.
get dirty? Okay.
Yep.
What would it take investment-wise to get set up like that for clean
Minimum
work?
minimum of $1 million.
Million?
Yep.
You don't think there's not a big enough market for it to do?
There is. There definitely is around here.
Well, let's go, dude. Get on it.
Timing's everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
What percentage of the jobs that you guys see on the bid sheets are clean work versus dirty work?
All of the clean room projects require dirty work, so they'll get two different contractors in there to do that. There are companies out there that are going after everything, both clean, dirty, the whole nine. But you don't really see one contractor get them both. It's hard to man both ends of a project like that.
Yeah. It's almost like two separate bits. It's like running a home building and a remodeling bit.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's pretty interesting. Sounds like that'd be a good path for the future to grow.
There's definitely potential there, yep.
Very cool. You got my gears turning now. I'm about to start one up. Have you talked to your boss about it?
Well, I mean, Tom's definitely he's thought about it in the past, but now he's not starting anything new like that. If it was 20 years ago when we were at the same spot, we probably have tackled it 5 years ago.
You got to tell Tom, get out of the way, man. It's time. I'm surprised the service end of things you guys haven't hit on too much, because I feel like you could start small, right?
Absolutely.
With a truck and one guy.
Yep. And we have some vans that are set up with everything. But again, the management, the phone calls, I don't really like, and I don't think any of the union guys do, dealing with the people like who own a retail store or who own a house or building or anything like that. When you're working for the government, it's totally different. You have the book, the people that are on the management side want what they bought in that book, and that's what we want to give them. And There's
Yeah.
very little questions.
What companies are doing service?
Service, who's big around here union and service, there's not a ton of. I know BPI is involved with it. I think Lemme Mechanical does service work. DeJezer, and that's more on the residential and commercial side. I haven't really paid all that much attention to it.
Yeah. How do you guys stay up to date with new regulations or welding techniques, or do you take classes, yearly training, anything like that?
So that's pretty much taken care of on a national level. Being in the union, we get all the national regulations, books, updates, procedures, all that stuff. It comes in on a monthly basis or anytime there's a weekly update. We pretty much have established our own procedures. Any company can go by what's in the book, but with the technology of different welding machines, equipment, we kind of put together our own procedures. And then depending on the project, sometimes they'll want to see that reviewed and stamped by an engineer that it's going to maintain whatever the pressure of the system is. Mm-hmm. And we've been locked in on that since before Global Foundries pretty much.
What kind of welders are you using?
It's mostly Lincoln.
Not brand, like stick? Or?
Oh, no, it's like a spray pulse. Pretty much like a sewing machine. So you'll have a positioner that the pipe gets clamped into, and then the welding machine will control the speed of the pipe turning. So the pipe is actually turning instead of the welder chasing the radius. So the welder can hold the stick and control the speed.
So you have the guy there is not just running the machine, he's actually holding a stick.
Correct.
Okay. Yep. And then the machine is applying the heat or the electrical.
Argon, the electrode, everything.
Very cool.
Yep.
Is there one type of welder that you use, or do you have some hand welding machines?
Oh, yeah, we have some. Send them out to the field. You can't really MIG weld in the field, especially if it's an open building, because you can't maintain the arc and the purge. Mm-hmm. The wind will blow it away, so that goes back to the old school stick welding.
How many setups do you have in your shop?
Seven stations. 7 stations, yep.
Okay. And one guy mans each one?
Yep. And then you have, when you have a lot of pipe going through, so somebody will cut the pipe, somebody will fit the pipe, somebody will weld the pipe. Kind of like an assembly line.
Do you see it automating more in the future?
There's robots. Like Danforth is a big competitor. They're out of, I think their main office is in Horseheads. They bought robots. I think FPI might have some robots.
What do those look like? How do they work? Do you know? Have you?
Oh yeah, I've watched the YouTube videos. I've thought about bringing one in, but I don't think the benefit is really there. Our system is so efficient. I think that initial investment would take a long time. Plus, you're changing procedures and everything else. So
yeah, they're going to break
right
at some point.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
Do you think it's going that way? Is the trade dying in that aspect from manpower?
No. I mean, I think a lot of mass production facilities are going that way, or some of the national, worldwide mechanical contractors are probably all over it. But for our niche in the market, it'll definitely never take over.
Mm-hmm. So if you're putting together pieces of pipe, they're generally welded, correct? Mm-hmm. And then do you thread any connections, or are they all welded in the field?
No, typically threading is 2 inch and down.
2 inch and down?
Yep.
Okay. You do weld anything under 2 inches? Or is it?
If they have socket welding, it's more of a high pressure application. That's all welded.
What's the reason for that? Why can't they thread bigger pipe?
Historically, I mean, back probably 50 years ago, they were threading probably up to 8 inch pipe. It's just not as efficient.
What do you mean by efficient?
Of a system for the owner. Threads will leak, welds won't leak.
Okay. Like
if you do a pressure test on a welded system, the pipe's going to blow apart before the weld breaks, if done properly.
Okay. I'm assuming that's why they use them they weld gas pipe and that they put in the ground.
Well, but gas piping typically is low pressure. I mean, National Grid at their bases, they might have 100 or 120 pound gas, but your typical gas line residentially, when you have a half a pound going to a residential boiler, a big building might have 4 pounds. I know a couple of the plants around here run up to 20 pounds. Once you get up to 20 pounds, that's like, that's a big deal. That changes the specs and everything.
Do you guys do any infrastructure work?
Like utilities underground?
Yeah.
Depending on the project. So typically if we get involved in that, it'll be part of the overall project. So say, get the utilities into the building and take it from there.
Do you think that's a direction you could go you would go in the future once Tom steps down?
No. Because then you're getting into excavation and all that other stuff, which, I mean, I have a lot of people that I work with who are great with excavating and all that stuff. And, we'll team up and go after some things, some projects, but it's not something I think I would chase now.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the biggest challenges that you guys face on a daily basis?
I don't think there's like a uniform daily challenge. I think each project kind of presents its own challenges, and that's going to be pretty much driven by the owner or the construction manager, because we know how to do what we do. But when we got people that want to get involved, slow us down, change things or, take us out of our element, that's an issue and a problem that constantly happens because somebody thinks they have a better idea. And who knows, maybe for the overall project it may be, but it's certainly not going to help us.
Right. So it's human driven.
Absolutely.
Basically. Yeah.
And it's all, the people you work with, from the top down. If it's a good, like Gilbane or any of those companies could have 3 different teams, and you might be right on board and click with one of them, but that doesn't mean the next job it's going to be the same atmosphere.
Yeah. What about you personally? I mean, what fires do you see putting out on a daily basis, if any?
I guess just kind of overall supervision, just making sure everybody's doing what they're expected to do. I mean, that's a big thing.
You have any projects that stick out over the past 5-10 years that were like a thorn in your side?
Yeah, it seems like once if a project comes out of the gate and there's hiccups, it stays like that right to the bitter end. It takes longer, and it's just everything's a hurdle. Coming out of COVID with equipment availability and all that stuff, it was brutal. You didn't know what you were going to get, when it was going to show up, if it was going to show up broken. Mm-hmm. And that's, we don't have any control over it, but we own the contract. So if anything down the road has been an issue, well, it's not going to just disappear when it gets to us. It's going to become our problem.
How do you handle the fluctuation in cost of pipe? Do you guys work contingencies into your contracts?
So pretty much, I mean, obviously everything we work with is a commodity. It's going up and down on a daily basis with the stock market and everything else. So we do get daily updates from pretty much all the manufacturers. Price increases are, I'm sure you've seen it too. They're just all over the place. And, it used to be like once a year, some of the Kohler or something like that would have a price increase. Now it's whenever they want.
Yeah.
So typically, being a bid and spec contract, you want to buy stuff at the beginning of the job, and then you might not need it for a year or so, but at least you bought it for the price that you anticipated. Right. It's a gamble.
Do you stock material not just for current projects but future?
To an extent. With the way the industry is going, everything is pretty much project specific. I mean, you're always going to have your steel and your copper pipe and things like that, but the brand of the manufacturer might change depending on what the engineer or client wants. So stocking, you have to stock everything, and we're not in the warehousing business.
Are they strict with the condition of the pipe? Like if you bought it, say this number is not right, but say it was $10 a foot, right? And it dropped to $5 for 2-inch pipe. And you bought 500,000 feet of it. If you store it for a certain amount of time, does it degrade? Like if it gets rust on it, they won't allow you to use it? Is there any specifications that these plans call out for that say this pipe has to be made on a specific date or can't be X amount of years old. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so all pipe has mill stamps that certifies where it was made and the date it was made and the spec it was made to. I mean, I've had pipe show up that looks like it's been on the bottom of the ocean for 20 years, and that you want to send back. Yeah. But sometimes you might not be able to because that's all that's available. You know, you might have to clean it, paint it, do whatever you need to do. You know, so we store the pipe inside, and then for pretty much every system that we install now, it's got to be flushed before it gets turned on or once the final product is put into it.
What do you mean flushed?
So you get a chemical engineer involved. They're going to look at the gallons in the pipe, what the system is going to be used for. Like if it's a domestic water system, yeah, you're going to have to chlorinate it, clean it. If it's a hydronic system, you're going to have to get all the rust out, any welding slag, anything like that, and then get the pH in the water right. So that way, once the water quality is right where it needs to be, it's going to last the longest inside that pipe.
So there is a little bit more than just purchasing the pipe and welding it and send it out, send it out the door. Well, we're getting close on time here. I got a couple more questions I want to ask you. As far as you mentioned succession plan, do you guys have something in place for 5, 10, 20 years? When do you think you'll fully take this thing over? What's your optimal timeline?
That's pretty much all going to be market driven.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to have to be in a place where there's enough stability to keep things going. I'm going to want to feel comfortable. He's going to want to feel comfortable. I mean, if we're doing $50-60 million consistently for the next 4 or 5 years, I'm sure then he'll be totally out of it.
Yeah.
You know, but it could happen in 2.
What would be your first move as you took over that seat and as far as growth goes, or would you stay where you're at?
That goes by the demand of the industry. If there's enough going on in the capital district of you know, the projects that we go after, then get as much as you can. You know, at that point, just use the tool.
I'm going to do a quick lightning round. You got to give me as fast answers as you can.
Shoot.
Right off the top of your head. Favorite tool or piece of gear?
Pass.
All right, we'll come back to it. Most rewarding project?
Regeneron.
Okay. One business, book, or podcast that impacted you?
Not applicable.
You don't read. And then what do you love most about the industry you're in?
So I wouldn't consider myself a white collar guy or a blue collar guy. I get a little bit of everything in the mechanical contracting business. You know, when you go and fire up a boiler that's 600 or 1,000 horsepower and bring a new system to life, that's invigorating. Mm-hmm. You know, the building shakes. It's impressive.
But you get the office end of it too, so you get a good mix. Yeah,
which I enjoy. You know, developing the team. You know, just sharpening the tool, I guess you would say. Mm-hmm. You know?
Last question. If you had, I'm not going to go back to the most stressful. I'll let you get away on that one. I'll ask you a different one. If you had to give somebody getting into the industry advice, young kid come out of college, what would you tell them?
I don't know that there's anything specific to this industry, because I think people as a whole, if they're going to be successful in mechanical or electrical or whatever sparks their interest, be a good person, work hard, try hard, absorb information. Don't be watching the clock on, you know, when's the next break or when's the time to go. Work hard.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
You know.
Well, thanks, Aaron, for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
If you guys are liking what you're seeing, make sure to check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're on all your major providers. Again, with me today is Aaron O'Brien from Lemme. Thank you one more time, and we'll see you guys next time.